everybody, I'm Julia and this is Julia at Home, and today I'm talking about the third part of our prehistory unit, and that is early man. This is a study of man pre-ancient civilization, so think Stone Age, Ice Age, early cave-dwelling people. We did this study for about 2 weeks in between doing our Big Bang, Evolution, and Dinosaurs, and before we started Ancient Egypt. So as usual, I'm going to start with the books and then talk about the activities. Okay, this first book here is Archaeologists Dig for Clues. And so it's not specifically on early man, but I thought it was a really good place to start. It is a Let's Read and Find Out Science, Stage 2, and it was, well, it's a good book. It goes through just how archaeologists find things, and it uses the example of I don't know if it's technically Stone Age, but an old human settlement to show what they did. So, and it's kids helping out. So it explains it in a very kid-friendly way with the little speech bubbles that my kids always like as well. So that's Archaeologists Dig for Clues. So we started here before we went on to the rest of the early human books. This is a special one because this was our read aloud. So we read it for the whole month we were doing our prehistory unit in general. And it's not that long, really. If it wouldn't take that long. We spaced it out quite a bit. And we do our read alouds together as a family before bed. So either my husband and I will read them. And yeah, we get to experience it as a family, which is really, really nice. This has some sad parts, so to be warned about that. I wasn't sure how my kids were going to handle it, but they actually did. They were pretty okay with it. And, you know, they're pretty good at knowing it's a book. And, you know, life, it does show that life was definitely hard the way that they lived. But the characters were really inspirational. And we could connect with Maru and her brother. So, yeah, we all enjoyed it, and it was great to go with a prehistory study. It really brings it to life more than any of the other books I found. So I love including the read-alouds. Okay, this one's rather silly to me, but it's Magic Tree House. My kids love the Magic Tree House. So this one's number 7, Sunset of the Sabertooth. And we just read this. I mean, they're short chapter books. You can fly through them. And so my kids enjoyed it, so we just included it during our school time. You wouldn't want to be a mammoth hunter. Whenever there's a you wouldn't want to be, I try to include it because my kids love these books and this series. So it's got these cartoonish pictures, which I did not like at first, but it's so fun the way it describes things that they just love these books. So there's a lot of information in here. I think you could spread it out over several days. They usually get so excited they want me to do it all in one day. So that's usually what we end up doing. But these are packed full of great information. So if you can get your hands on these, I've been managing to find a lot of them used. They are great options. The First Dog. This is written and illustrated by Jan Brett, and this is just a great. It doesn't necessarily give you a lot of information, but it's a story. So it takes place, you know, in Stone Age, and there's the boy, and the dog is kind of helping him out, and he ends up adopting. Basically, the dog ends up living with him. So it's another. I love Jan Brett's work in general, so this was great inclusion. Callie's Song, which is another picture book. And this is more so, it takes place in ancient times, but it's about, you know, he's just different. And it's also just about, I guess, yeah, being different, a different way of doing things. It's a neat book by Jeanette Winter there, Callie's Song. Okay, the next two are kind of connected. We've got the first drawing here. So it's about cave art. And the story of this boy who invents the first cave art. These pictures are so fun. He sees pictures in the smoke and then eventually ends up making them for his family because they can't see what he sees. So he ends up making the drawings. Connected with this book, I have The Secret Cave. And it is actually a story of the boys who found the Lascaux. I can't say this word. In France, there are these ancient caves that these boys found, I think, in the 1940s. I think it was during World War II. And they were like exploring, and they found these caves, and they found these ancient artwork on the caves, and now it's been preserved. And archaeologists and anthropologists have studied it, and it's just very cool. So this is the story of them actually finding the cave. And then we did more in connection with that and with cave art, which I'll get to in a little bit. This is Stone Age Boy, and this is just another fun storybook about a boy who falls backwards in time to the Stone Age and lives with them a while before coming back. So it's a great living book because there's actually quite a bit of information on what the people lived like. So I really liked this one. This is the best book of early people. And this isn't really a storybook, but I found it and I just thought I'd have it on hand in case we wanted an extra reference book for some things. And we ended up reading most of it through just because it has really good information and my kids were interested in it. So I don't remember if we read the whole thing or not, but we did read a good portion of it. So, you know, it was definitely a good addition for us. So those were all of our books for Early Man. I didn't have quite as many as I did for some other units, which is not a bad thing necessarily. And now I want to share with you some of the activities that we did. So first, I actually did want to show you one more book because this is Archaeology for Kids, and it is an activity book. And there are a bunch of activities in here, but I've found it also has just a lot of information before the activities. For example, this activity here is an ice archaeology activity that tells you how to do it and what it is, but this is all just like information that you can read to or share with your children before you do it. And here's like another activity in here, which is building a Paleolithic fireplace, which actually looks really fun, and kind of wish we'd done that one next time. This book also goes through, it starts in, so here, let me show you the contents here, because this is hard to explain. So it starts in how archaeology works, the first people, Ice Age and Stone Age, which is kind of where we were focusing on for this particular study. It then goes into the first civilizations, Greece and Rome, the New World, and historical archaeology. So I may use activities from this and information from this also as we go through more units on ancient civilizations. So I thought this was a good investment, and if we don't end up using it as much this year, because some of the activities I think are actually a little old for where my kids are, I think we will use it in the future, so I think it's good to have on hand. Now, I shared this book, I believe, in my curriculum video, and this has been fantastic. So this is Artistic Pursuits, Volume 2, Art of the Ancients. We also have Volume 1, which is basically just an introduction to art, and we've been slowly working through some of those lessons as well, and I will try to do a review video of that soon because it was requested, and we are loving it. And I'm liking this very much as well. So for this particular unit, there are 2 activities in here that we're doing. Now, I don't necessarily use things exactly as written, so I didn't go in order here. So we actually started, when we were talking about archaeology, with making this human statue. So it starts with, it gives you prep notes, but then it starts with just a really short introductory paragraph that I read to the kids. And then I showed them this picture. We talked about it, so it also includes some art study when you're looking at other pieces of art and studying them and talking about them. And then it gives you instructions on how to actually make your own figure. So that is what we did. I will insert pictures here of my children doing this artwork. They had a lot of fun. We obviously had to make the clay figures one day and paint them another day. I tried to encourage them to just use blacks and browns when painting, but they went a little crazy, and there's a lot of blue. And, I mean, they're in preschool and first grade, so I'm not going to fault them for it. We just left it as it is. we also did was actually an earlier lesson here, and that is the art in caves lesson. So you will remember earlier in this video I showed you a couple books about early art and the art in caves. And so this actually shows a picture from that cave in France, I believe. I believe that's what this is. Yeah. And talks about it a bit. And then it shows you part of this cave painting here and talks about it and gives you some guiding questions to ask the children. And then here is how you can make your own. So we did this. We had the chalk pastels and we just crinkled up some construction paper and had my children paint. I told them they could paint animals, but they could really paint whatever they wanted. That is just to be inspired by this and make some cave art. And it's actually still hanging on our wall for right now. It may come down soon at the end of this term, so we can make room for new things. But they had a great time. They each actually did 2 pieces of artwork. We are absolutely loving this book, and it was so helpful to have this as kind of a guide for these projects, and we are continuing to use these in our other history units, so you will see it again. That's all I have today for our early human resources. I hope you enjoyed these. I hope you are inspired to maybe do an early human study of your own. Please comment below if this was helpful. As always, subscribe. I have a lot more unit study and other homeschooling content coming up. And like this video, it really does help me out. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you later.